Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. We are into talk 4. Swami Jnananta Bharati Swamigal, in his book The Great Equations, in the subsequent few chapters, has dealt very extensively on the various manifestations of the Panchabhutas, their combinations, then some penetrative aspects of the physical body, the causal body, the other Sukshma Sarira, all that. So we'll park those details for a while, and we go to the next section of his book, where he deals with the pure doctrine of Advaita and establishes how truth has been propounded by the Vedas and the Vedanta. What is the process through which this truth has been propounded? And he relates them with equations and brings to light that bliss is ultimately a matter of experience. Bliss is an experience beyond our senses and our imagination. Bliss is the ultimate truth. It's the ultimate knowledge to be acquired. Even Krishna says so in the Bhagavad Gita. Amongst the knowledge, amongst the learning, Atma Vidya is the supreme, the predominant. Therefore, this knowledge cannot be explained that easily, or cannot be made to look so simple a truth. You have to learn it. So how this knowledge has been propounded in a deductive logic sense for us to understand, so that once we understand, we will resort to its practice. And once we resort to that practice, we will finally transform and attain that experience. That's the whole idea. So, Swamigal puts the whole doctrine into three parts. He says it all finally reduces to three. The first part of the aspect is the unmanifest power, which we call it God, some call it Brahman, some call it Shakta, some call it Mayavi. So for the purpose of our convenience, let's take it as God. God is the unmanifest power. Now, the potential energy of God cannot be distinct from God. See, someone plays cricket. So the potential skill of playing cricket, can it be taken separately out of that person who plays cricket? It is the talent or the skill which is part of him. That's the power he has in him. So they are not two different parts or two different elements, nor can they be separated. Likewise, this power of Maya, what we call it, the potential cause. See, the unmanifest power and its potential cause. The potential power, which we call it as Shakti, as Maya, as Avidya, when it comes to the individual souls. So it manifests. How does this potential cause? It manifests as this whole world or this universe. It manifests as individual souls like all of us. So it is just three divisions. The unmanifest power, called the Shakta, the manifest potential cause, called the Shakti, and the manifestations, which are twofold, one as this whole universe, the cosmos, and as the individual souls. One we call it as matter, Another we call it as soul. Now, we'll have to only show that this matter or this universe and this individual soul are only mere illusions. They emerge out of Maya. They are sustained by Ishvara and they dissolve into Ishvara. So they emerge out of Ishvara, sustained by Ishvara, and merge or dissolve into Ishvara. This is exactly Advaita Tattva. But how do we progress to establish this fact? So a question is asked. Does this universe or world exist? The answer is yes, it does exist. We are seeing it in reality. Do the human beings exist? Yes, we as human beings, as a human race, exist. So the second question is, if you say you exist, do they exist on their own? Do they exist themselves? That's the next question we should ask. The first question is easy. Yeah, it's an answer. So the question is, does this universe exist on its own or by itself? Do these human beings exist on their own or by themselves? If somebody is going to say they exist by themselves, that may not be the right answer. And they should exist forever. So, both this universe and this individual would exist as long as it is pervaded by God. The human being is alive till such time the jiva is with that body. Till such time it is pervaded by the soul, the jiva here. Till such time it is pervaded by the Maya there in the universe. So the Supreme Soul, which is bliss, using its power of Maya, allows this universe to manifest, allows these individuals to manifest, and they exist not on their own or by themselves, but exist only because it is pervaded by God. Now we need to show this demonstrated through some examples. So Swamigal takes the following examples. See, necklace is not identical to gold. It's a factually correct statement. Take a gold bar, take a necklace. Once necklace assumes a form and a name, we start identifying that object only as a necklace. We don't say necklace is identical to gold, because gold has a different form. But merely because necklace is not identical to gold, it does not mean that necklace is distinct from gold. That will be a wrong statement. Necklace is not distinct from gold. Why? Because the goldness, the essence of gold is contained in the necklace. You can break the necklace, you will still find the gold. But if you break the gold, if you dissolve the gold, you remove the gold out of the necklace, then there will be no necklace. So, translate this. This universe, which we call it as matter, is not identical to God, will be a right statement. But this universe is distinct from God is a wrong statement. Even though it is not identical to God, it is also not distinct from God. Why do we say? Take God out of this universe. Take God out of our body. We become a corpse and universe simply dissolves. So it is not identical is different from not being distinct. This logic has to be borne in mind if we need to progress in Vedanta. World is not identical to God, but world is not distinct from God. We as individuals are not identical to God, but we are not distinct from God. Because we are ultimately pervaded only by God. So you can ask a question, how does this logic sound good? Something is not identical, yet something is not distinct. How do you say so? Swamigal narrates a lot of examples in his book. I'll just share one for the time being. See, on seeing a cow, we are able to draw the essential characteristics of the cow, which is what we call it the cowness. When we see a cow, we can understand the cowness of a cow on seeing a cow, on knowing about a cow. So when we see a second cow, a third cow, we can easily relate the cowness in it to those cows. When we don't physically see a cow, having understood the cowness after seeing a cow registers in us, we can always correlate the cowness even if a cow is not physically seen. But can we ever infer cowness without seeing the cow? Even once. So, you can't separate the cowness from the cow. They are inseparable. If there is a cow, there is bound to be a cowness. If there is a Brahman, there is bound to be the potential energy or characteristic of Brahman, which is Maya. So one is not, they may not be identical, but they are not distinct. So Maya is not distinct from Brahman. Maya is the potential power of Brahman. This is the bottom line which Vedanta first teaches us. Once we recognize, like as I said, the cricket playing talent is part of the cricketer. A cricketer and his cricket playing talent cannot be separated. They are not identical, but they are not distinct. So, if you apply that logic, then Vedanta teaches us the truth. Look here, if this is acceptable, then God is the active agent, the cricketer. And God is also the passive material, the power, the materials available. God is the potter. God is also the mud because it manifests out of his potential power. And when the potter uses a heap of mud and makes out a neat pot, then potter, which is God, using pottery, the power, transforms mud into a pot. So he is both the efficient cause and through Maya, and also the material cause which produces mud which transforms into pot. That is why it is so common in all of us to identify God either as a father or as a mother or as father and mother. If we say Shakta, Brahman is Shakta, Shiva, then we say Maya is Shakti, Mata Parvati is Shakti, Shivan is Shakta. So Shiva Shakti Aikyam is nothing but the experience of bliss. They are not two independent agents, the active agent and the passive material, the efficient cause and also the material cause. We should not now. A counter question can be easily put. What are you saying? Okay, without a father and mother, a child cannot be born. So manifestation happens because of father and mother. Understandable. Nurturing happens because of a mother. Understandable. But a woman becomes pregnant, the mother becomes pregnant and the father dies. The child is still born. A mother manifests a child. A mother sustains a child. Whereas when the child for any reason dies, it does not enter into the mother or its womb. So according to you, what? God creates, God sustains, God dissolves. But that doesn't happen in your example. So these are positions which people can keep taking. See, these are all similes within the material causes, within the material manifestations, a potter and a pot, as an example, where it is subject to the test of space and time, which we originally discussed in the first lecture, and concluded what was time yesterday, today, tomorrow, and eternal, therefore God is eternal. He has conquered time. What God is not confined to a particular location, God is everywhere, so He has conquered space. So when we perceive these examples as simile for understanding, we should not overlook the fact that, see, God is more comprehensive than this universe. That's exactly what we established in the first talk. God lends existence to this universe. God sustains this universe. And into God finally dissolves this universe. He can withdraw. Because it's an exercise of Maya's potential power, which is nothing but the power of Brahman. So, the reverse logic, the child dies, it does not enter the mother womb, won't work here. Because these are all subject to the limitations of space and time. Whereas God is more comprehensive than time because He has always existed. God is more comprehensive than space. He is beyond Akasha and therefore He can envelop Akasha, is something which we have proved. Therefore, lending existence, sustaining it and withdrawing it. So, we will see a better simile. Rather than a better, every simile is for understanding. Nothing is superior, because all these are all examples given in the Vedanta. We can't even say one is better than the other. Progressively, when we cross these hurdles, therefore, Vedanta Swamigal pitches a very important aspect now. He says, for two things to be related to each other, they should fall in, this is an equation, they should fall within the same plank. Both should be real or both should be unreal. One cannot be real and one cannot be unreal. For example, somebody in deep sleep experiences scorching heat on his toes. Can a cool breeze outside assuage that experience of scorching heat of that individual? Because that is happening in the dream state. Breeze is happening in its natural state. Can that solve his problem? It can't solve. Somebody in dream feels that he or she is bitten by a cobra. Can any amount of medication cure that? So, You need two real things. There must be one who is bitten by a cobra. Then medication on that will work. So both should be real. One cannot be real, one cannot be unreal. There is a cinema screen where you see scene after scene after scene being pictured, portrayed. Scene will come, scene will go, but the canvas will remain the same. You can break the scene, you can change the scene, you can change the movie, you can put any number of movies. The screen will be ready to bear it. But if you break the screen, you can't post the pictures. So, imagine God to be the canvas on which all these actions appear and disappear like scenes. So, this can be a continuous phenomena as long as the screen exists. Only as long as the screen exists. The moment the screen gets destroyed, vanishes, then it simply subsumes. The picture has no relevance thereafter. So, this real versus unreal. Therefore, Swamigal concludes in this chapter. See, God is a reality, the only reality. Universe as an illusion and human beings as illusions only reflect over it as seeming. Therefore, a relatedness between what is illusory or seeming on what is real or actual can never happen. The two examples which we narrated a short while ago. So this is one phase. Now Swamigal moves to the next phase of proving how Vedanta employs deductive logic as an equation. The book is ultimately titled The Great Equation. Swamigal was a very, very successful lawyer. I think he should be a born mathematics genius. The kind of terminologies, the kind of terms, the kind of equations he has put into place. He should be a mathematical genius also. For people who love maths, this book would be a book of very fond reading to you, undoubtedly. Because you will be able to appreciate it even from a mathematical perspective. Vedanta from a mathematical perspective. So neatly and justifiably put. And people who love logic, essentially. Now, he says, look here, Vedanta is such a supreme truth. You can't state it as a plain fact. And gives an example. If somebody says 6 is equal to 6, both sides, 6 equal to 6. Somebody says, please come for a book release. Today I'm releasing a books for promoting the truth. 6 is equal to 6. Who will come to promote that book? Who will attend that promotion meeting? Because it's the most uninteresting information. It's a fact which is known to everybody. It makes no sense. It is so plain and simple to accept that you don't need a book release for that. You don't need the people to be complimenting a writer for that. It's a plain simple truth. So takes the second equation. Look here, if somebody says 5 plus 1 is equal to 6, will that be an interesting feature? Swamigal says here 1 is constant, another has to be just partially stimulated. If you add 5 plus 1, 6, then it becomes 6 is equal to 6. Not a great truth. You don't need one more book release function for that. So it comes to the third mechanism. This is exactly what Vedanta seeks to employ. He says, if we say 5 plus 1 is equal to 2 into 3. So what you need to do, you have to deduce. You must on one side add 5 plus 1 and make it 6. On the other side, multiply 2 into 3 and make it 6. So one is you have to do an addition factor, another you have to do a multiplication factor, then finally deduce to come to the conclusion, yeah, both are just 6 in two different ways. But the substratum is just 6. Vedas and Vedantas teach us this type of a deductive logic, says Swami. If somebody is going to say, ring is gold, why do you need it? It's a simple truth. If somebody says ring is a ring, it's like 6 is equal to 6. Ring is a ring, show a ring. Necklace is a necklace, who wants it? Okay, we'll stimulate it a little better. Ring is a gold. So this ring is gold. All right. What if? On the contrary, if someone is going to say a ring is the same as that of a chain, a gold ring is same as that of a gold chain. This is interesting because what is embedded, the embedded truth is a ring has its name and form, gold has its name and form, but the substratum both in the ring and in the gold, if you deduce it to its essence, then both are nothing but gold. Therefore, a gold ring is the same as that of a gold chain is not a false statement. You have to understand and interpret. There is a tool to interpret it. And if you deduce the ultimate, then you will find that it is nothing but only gold. If somebody is going to say this soul or this world is not God, individuals are not God, this universe is not God, we don't need it. Okay, we'll stimulate it. World is nothing but matter. Where does it take anyone? It doesn't take anyone anywhere. Because that's also a factual assertion. Instead, the Vedic path is, world is traceable to and its existence is finally found in a single substratum. So, let's take 5 plus 1 is equal to 2 into 3. Let's place universe on one side and the individual soul on the other side. See, what are we attempting? We are attempting to say this jiva and the universe is not different from supreme bliss or the supreme soul. That is all. Because once we say Brahman, universe and individuals are finally nothing but a part of the is nothing but supreme soul. Rest is only illusion, which we saw. We saw the physical body, the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body, which we also translated it into how the gross 5 Panchabhutas translating into 5 senses, and finally how Antaryami or Ishvara, all that we saw in the earlier talks. So let's place universe and place the individual as two equations, as two numbers for equation. Now Swamigal says, what is the substratum of this universe? What is the spiritual base of this individual? Evaluate the factors. We have taken gold ring, gold necklace, form a name, deduce it, it comes to gold. So, if you start reducing everything finally we'll end up that it is nothing but the unmanifest. We started with that. The unmanifest power, using its potential cause called Maya or Avidya, has allowed through Maya for this universe to manifest with pluralities of forms and names, has allowed through Avidya for individual souls as jivas to emerge. So, take Avidya out of the individual, take Maya out of the universe, forms and names disappear. Once form and name disappears, what is the substratum of the universe? Supreme Soul. What is the substratum of the individual? Supreme Soul. Jiva is not different from Paramatma. Jivatma is not distinct from Paramatma. Tattvamasi. So, 5 plus 1 is equal to 2 into 3, allowing us to do a derivative and allowing us to come to this conclusion that both or 6 is equal to 6 is the path of Vedantic teaching for us, because it has to be comprehended. We comprehend it through our feeling senses and all, but it is a truth beyond senses. It can't be put plainly. It can't be put in a way that anybody can understand and everybody can understand it and therefore take it as a matter of fact. No, that's also a part of the wisdom of Maya. So it is done in this derivative form. So exclude names, exclude forms. We will finally see we, the universe and Brahman, are nothing but supreme souls. We are struggling because we have acquired this physical body, this subtle body and the causal body. And the universe is again split into the three parts which we have narrated earlier. Remove the form, remove the name, the underlying substratum is Brahman. And Maya, the potential energy, is part of Brahman. It manifests and projects all these material causes in efficient cause. Through the efficient cause produces the material effects, can suck it back. Is what Swami has portrayed in these chapters. Now we will see top 5. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.